Hello, this is Professor Estrada, and the purpose of this lecture is to give an introduction as to how to look up information on the internet. You may refer to the table of contents when you need to jump back to a different topic within the PowerPoint presentation. Just click on any entry to be taken to that section. When most of us think about doing searches on the internet, the first thing that comes to mind is to use Google. Even though this is a very useful tool, it is not the only tool available to do searches in the internet. Now, what is it that actually happens when we go to Google and type some text inside the search box? How is it that we end up with thousands or millions of results? When I ask this question to my students, most of the time I get a blank stare or something like, that is just the way the internet works. A lot of students even think that when they click search in Google, Google is able to go to all the websites in the internet and it is able to pick the websites that have the words that they have been searching for. And they also think that Google can do this in just a few seconds. If that was the case, it would take hours, if not days, for Google to be able to collect all the data from all those websites. So the question, once again, is how does Google do it? To make a long story short, let me just say that Google maintains a very large database that holds the contents of all the known websites and its web pages, and it is that database that Google will access when you place a search in a search box. That very large database that Google maintains is created by having a program called a spider that scans the content of all those known web pages and then collects the information found in them. The information collected from those sites may include the text, the pictures, the audio files, hyperlinks, and information found in the header of the web page. Here you can see a screenshot of the Google web page and you can see the search box and the search button. Notice that after you complete a search, at the top left-hand corner, you have a menu bar with tabs for web, images, maps, videos, news, more, which gives you shopping, books, flights, apps, and the search tool. The menu selection selected by default is web. Let's take a look at a sample search for some information on George Washington. Go to www.google.com and in the search box type George Washington and then hit enter or click search. Notice that Google gives you the number of results for that particular search, and it also tells you how long it took the searching tool to collect the data from its database. In the search shown in this slide, it shows that it got around 738 million results and that it took about 0.21 seconds. Notice that it returned a very large number of results. Why do we get such a large number of results? To answer that question, we need to understand what it is that we just asked Google to do. When you place the words George and Washington inside the search box, what we actually asked Google to do was to find all the web pages that have the words George and Washington in them. This search may include a result web page from a third grader that says something like, "Hi, my name is George Smith, and last week I took a trip to Washington, D.C." As you can see, this web page includes the words George and Washington, but it is not what we're looking for. In order to get more relevant results, we need to be able to narrow down the number of results that we get when we do our searches. One way to accomplish this is to use what is called phrases. Using phrases means using quotation marks before and after a group of words that need to be searched for together and in that very same sequence. For instance, words like New York, United States of America, or Touro College. Once again, use Google to search for George Washington, but this time use quotation marks before the words George and after the word Washington. Look at the number of results. We get about 53 million results. If you compare the two searches, the one without phrases and the one with phrases, you see that there is a very drastic difference in the number of results. When using phrases, you will end up with a lot fewer results. The reason being that Google is now looking for websites that have the words George and Washington in that order and right next to each other. When you need to do a search, there are many different searching sites that you could use besides Google. There are places like Yahoo, Bing, AOL, etc. Now let's take a look at Yahoo, and we will perform the same type of searches that we did using Google. Go to a Yahoo website by typing www.yahoo.com. In the search box, type George Washington without quotations, and then press enter. Yahoo is no longer showing the number of results, but the number of results will be in the same ballpark range as those in Google. Now, what we just did was a search without phrases. Click on a new tab in your browser and again go to the Yahoo website. Once again, type George Washington, but this time use quotation marks before and after the words, and then click search again. You will notice that we also get fewer results using phrases in Yahoo. Now let's go back and talk about searching in general. When doing searches, especially when using Google.com, there are shortcuts that can be taken. For example, if you're searching for a particular word, but you would also like to find web pages that include words that mean the same, that is, synonyms, as the word that you're searching for, you may be able to do so by adding a tilde before the word that you want to find the synonyms for. Now, the tilde is the wiggling character that you find to the left of the number 1 key on the keyboard and on top of the tab key. For instance, if you're doing a search for insect bites, and you put that wiggling character before the word insect, and it's going to be attached to a letter right before the letter I in insect. Google will also return pages for things like bug bites. If you're trying to find the definition of a word, you may also go to a searching site, and if you type the word define : and then the word that you want to be defined, it will then give you a definition for that word. Let's say you're curious to find out who was born in 1961. Well, you could go to a place like Google, and if you use an asterisk in the search, that will find any word that can be added into your search. So if, for instance, you type asterisk was born in 1961, and then you hit enter in your search box, Google will return link pages that include text such as Obama was born in 1961. There are 4 different searching tools that can be used to find information in the internet. These are search engines or index search searching tools, subject guides or directory search searching tools, meta search searching tools, and vertical searching or specialty searching tools. Index search searching tools are the most popular searching tools around. When you use regular Google, that is Google Search, or regular Yahoo, that is Yahoo's Web, you're actually using an index search searching tool. Index searching tools rely on a spider or web crawler to find the data that will be included in the database that the searching tool uses to match the words that are placed in the search boxes. Spiders or web crawlers collect information from the web pages, such as text, audio, images, hyperlinks, etc., and place that information inside the database that the company manages. When a user places words in a search box, the searching tool returns the URLs for the web pages that have in them or match the words in the search box. That information is gotten from the database. The second type of searching tool we will be looking at is the subject guide searching tool. These searching tools organize the list of websites by topics or subjects. Originally, sites like Google and Yahoo would hire librarians to look over the content of websites, and only those websites that accurately reflected the topic would be added into the searchable database. Unfortunately, this type of searching tool was not as profitable as the index search, and the best subject guide sites are no longer in existence. Places like DMOZ rely on volunteers. Go ahead and select a new tab in your web browser and then type www.dmoz.org in the address box. This will open the Open Directory project web page. Notice that the page is broken into different categories where you can pick a specific category if you want to search by category or subject, or you can type in the search box the words that you would like to look for. Right now, type George Washington to do a search using phrases and then press enter. You now get a list of results that match that search. Now you can see the results using findingdulcinea.com. The third category of searching tools is the one called meta search searching tools. Unlike the other two previous searching tools, meta search searching tools do not create or maintain their own databases. These tools collect the results from other searching sites and then present the collected results to the user. Example of these searching tools are dogpile.com and excite.com. Now let's take a quick look at dogpile.com. Ask for a new tab in your browser and in the address type www.dogpile.com. In the search box, once again, type George Washington and then press enter. The way Dogpile presents the results is by giving you, after each result, a list of the different searching sites those results were taken from. For a minute, let's move away from the topic of searching tools, and let me start by asking you a question. How come there are so many websites in the internet that gives you services without charging you for those services? Places such as Google.com. Google makes their money by selling advertisements, but also by data mining the data that it collects from you. Every time they use a search engine, the company that runs that service is collecting information about the type of searches that you're doing, the type of computer that is being used, the operating system, the IP address, etc. What you search for reveals a shocking amount of personal information, such as your personal interests, political leaning, medical conditions, and a lot more. All of this personal information is gold for marketers that want to sell you stuff, hackers that want to cause you harm, or governments that want to keep a tab on its citizens. Is there a way that you could prevent some of this information from being collected? The answer is yes, but it often requires you to do extra work. There are different places on the internet that allow you to hide your information. Some are searching sites that do not collect your searches, such as DuckDuckGo and XQuick, and others hide your location and IP address, and these are often called anonymizers. Go to a new tab in your browser and type DuckDuckGo.com. When using this site, you will not get as many results as when using Google, but it will maintain the privacy of your searches. You will not be getting targeted advertisement based on your past searches. Click on a new tab in your browser and go to www.xquick.com. This is actually a European-based searching tool which does not retain any information about your searches. For some reason, some proxy servers, such as the one at Turo, will not allow you to use this searching site. This searching tool is actually a meta searching tool, and it collects results from over 13 different searching sites. Now, once again, type in George Washington and then press enter. When you point at one of the listed results, you will see the list of searching websites that the information was taken from. The second anonymizing searching site is startpage.com. Startpage is also blocked by some of the proxy servers, such as the one at Turo. And it works by taking the results from the Google website, but then hiding the identity of the original searcher. Click a new tab in your browser and go to www.startpage.com. In the search box, once again, type George Washington and then press enter. Once again, let's go back a little. Now, all searching tools provide an option to do what is called advanced searches. Advanced searches allow you to modify your search in a way where you will be able to reduce the number of results and still have an effective and appropriate or relevant set of results. Using advanced search often allows you to do one of two things: to have your search expression be written for you once you fill in a form, or to filter your search for things like date, type of domain, web content, language, etc. Let us give it a try now at doing a Google advanced search. After you start typing inside the search box in Google, you will notice that to the right of the search box, there is a little gear icon. That little gear icon represents the options in Google. And one of the available options in there is the advanced search. Go ahead, click the gear, the options in Google, and then select advanced search. If you look at the page that you get, you will notice that at the top you get a form that can be filled up in order to help you put together what is called a Boolean expression, which is what you want to search for. And at the bottom half, it provides you with all the filters used to narrow down your search by choosing the type of website, the language used in the website, or how current the content of the website is. Before we get into the advanced search features in Google, we need to first give a general overview as to what it is this thing we called Boolean operators or Boolean expressions. Every time that you type words within a search box, you may not realize it, but you are creating something called a Boolean expression. And all the words you type inside the search box are joined through Boolean operators. There are three Boolean operators that are commonly used when doing searches. The first is the word AND, A-N-D, which is typed in capital letters, and which most search engines allow you to abbreviate by just using a space in between words. So when you typed George spacebar Washington, what you actually told the browser to do is to write the words George, then the Boolean operator for and then the word Washington. Anytime that you use the AND operator, you will end up with fewer results. The more words separated by spaces that you include in your search box, the fewer the number of results you will get. That is because all those words need to be found in the web page that you're looking for. The second Boolean operator is the word OR. When you use this operator, you end up with more results because you're telling the search engine to find you all the sites that have one word or the other. It is the equivalent of doing two separate searches and then putting the results for both searches together. When using OR, you need to leave a space before and after the OR. The third Boolean operator is a NOT, and what it is used for is to exclude web pages that contain a particular word or group of words. Most search engines abbreviate this operator with a hyphen. The hyphen must be attached as a prefix to the word that needs to be excluded. When you want the search engine to perform a particular part of the search first, you may also include the expression in parentheses. Now let's try one sample search using Boolean expressions. Click a new tab on your browser and then go to google.com. If you were looking for biographies of George Washington or Thomas Jefferson, but did not want to get any information about George Washington Carver, you could write a Boolean expression in the search box that reads as follows. The word biography, a space, then you open parentheses, the words George Washington in quotations, then a space, then the word or, then again a space, then Thomas Jefferson in quotations, then close parentheses, a space, then a dash, and then the word Carver, and then you would press search. Now let's go back to Google Advanced Search and just start filling in the form to do a search. Let's say we needed to look up biographical information on George Washington, and we wanted to exclude any web pages about George Washington Carver. To do this, what we would do is to go to the box that says all these words and write in there the words President, biography. Next, in the box for any of these words, type George Washington. And in the box that says all these unwanted words, write the word Carver. Next, press enter or click search. And now you see that Google completed the search. And when you look at what was searched for, you see that it was President space biography, then space bar quotation marks, George Washington, space, hyphen, Carver. This is the Boolean expression that was created for us after we use the advanced search form. Let's go back once again to advanced search, and this time we'll take a look at the filters. If you look at the list that is shown in there, there is an entry called language, region, last update, site or domain, terms appearing, etc. Let's take a look at what some of these filters do. Not every page that you look at is a page that is created in English. So if you would like to have Google return to you only web pages that were created in a specific language, you may then be able to filter for that language. Information about the language appears in the header of a web page. Google does not look at the actual words inside the web page. This feature has nothing to do with translation. Sometimes when you go to look at a web page and Google realizes based on the IP address that you are connecting from a country where one language is spoken and the page you're looking at is in another language, it may make available a translator. This filter in Google allows you then to select the language that is used in the desired web pages you may be searching for. The next filter in the advanced search is the one called region. Every country in the world has a two-letter identifier which is added at the end of the domain name for sites coming from that country. For instance, if I'm looking for a website that is coming from Canada, you may see that at the end of the domain name, you will see the letters CA. When you're doing searches, you may specify the country that you want the results to come from. This is what is referred to as region. The next filter is last update. When you click inside the box, you get the options anytime, past 24 hours, past week, past month, and past year. This filter is really important if you're searching for data that you need to be current. For instance, if you're looking for current events, you may want to have your results be filtered so that it only shows sites with data that has been added or modified recently. We're going to leave our search using the default setting which shows anytime, because in this particular search it would make no sense to select anything else. The next filter is site or domain. This filter allows you to have Google find only sites that belong to a particular domain level, such as .edu, .gov, .com, etc., or pages from a particular website. Go ahead and click to the right of site or domain, and in the box type .edu, which means that we would be looking for results coming only from educational institutions. Press enter or click advanced search. Take a look at the results page. At the search box, the Boolean expression now says site:/edu. Also notice that the links for the results all show that they are from educational institutions. The next filter is the one called terms appearing. This refers to the place in the web page where the keywords you're searching for can be looked up. Oftentimes, when you do a search, you may not be looking for the content of a website, but instead you may be searching for the name of the website or for the URL of the website. If I'm listening to the radio and they mention a website that I find of interest, and when they give the URL for the website, I do not get a chance to write it down, one way to be able to find it later on is to do a search based on the words that you may remember from that URL. You type the words that you remember from the URL in the form at the top of the advanced search page, and then in this filter, click Search by URL. The next filter in the advanced search is Safe Search. By default, Google will not filter for adult content. In order to make the searching process safe for kids, you need to select Filter Explicit Results. The next filter, the one called File Type, is a very useful filter. Whenever you go to do a search using Google, the results that are displayed to you may include HTML documents, PowerPoint presentations, PDF documents, Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, etc. When you perform a search, you may tell Google the type of files that you would like to have returned. So now go to File Type and select PowerPoint. Press Enter or click the Advanced Search. Take a look at the results page. Notice that the Boolean expression that is written in the search box ends with file type :ppt. Notice that all the entries point to PowerPoint presentations only. The next filter is the one called usage rights. One thing to remember about material that you find in websites is that not all the text or pictures available to you is free to take. Many websites make information available for you to read only, not for you to copy and paste. You can use this filter to decide on whether to filter for material that is free to use. Go back to the regular Google page and again do a search for George Washington. A feature added to Google, which is also related to advanced searches, appears after you have performed a search. A menu bar appears right under the search box and on top of the number of results, and the last entry of it reads Search Tools. Go ahead and click Search Tools, and you will notice that a new submenu set appears. Notice that some of the same options that we saw in Advanced Search appear in here. One feature worth mentioning when doing searches using Google or any other searching site is the one called caching. I mentioned before that whenever you ask Google to search for information, Google actually looks up the information in a database that has the data already collected from the known websites by using a program called a spider or a web crawler. Whenever the spider goes to a website, it takes the content of that website and places the content in the database that Google manages. Well, that process of copying the content of the websites to its own database is called caching. If you ever do a Google search and one of the entries that appears in the results does not seem to be working or gives you an error, you may still be able to find the content of that site by clicking the cache link. The cache link is found in Google when you select one of the results and then point to the down pointing arrow at the end of the URL and then selecting the entry called cache. Once again, go to the Google website and do a search for George Washington. Find the result associated with Wikipedia. It will most likely be at the top of the list of results. Click the down arrow after the URL and select cache. You should see the website content even though you were not taken to the actual website. One good thing about using cached is that the words that you had placed in the search box appear highlighted in the cache page. If you look at the top of the page, go to the Google web page, and after performing any search, you will get the menu bar at the top left-hand corner of the screen. When Google sends the spider to collect information from the websites it knows of, and the data is placed in its database, the database is also organized based on the type of data that the website contained. One of the entries in the menu is news. The news link in the Google web page allows you to retrieve information from news-containing websites. This includes online newspapers and news-oriented websites. I would like you to click the News tab, and in the search box, type some text related to current events. Now, you can also use Advanced Search in here. You can access the Advanced Search by clicking at the Options tool. That is the small gear that appears on the right-hand side, and then selecting Advanced Search. You can also ask Google to display information that is 1 hour old, 1 day old, a week old, or a month old, etc. by clicking the date filters on the left-hand side of the screen. Go ahead and search in the News tab for the Mars rover Curiosity and have the results be only for the last week. Take a look at the number of results you got. The fourth searching tool available to us when doing searches in the internet is the one called specialty searching tools, sometimes also called vertical searching. These are searching tools useful when you search for a specific industry, topic, type of content, piece of data, geographical location, or when the content cannot be found or it is difficult to be found using an index search searching tool. These are tools which allow you to search the invisible web. Not everything that is available through the World Wide Web is accessible through regular index searching tools. As a matter of fact, most of the websites available to the World Wide Web are not accessible to most users. The area of the World Wide Web that is not accessible to most users is often called the invisible web or deep web. Some of the sites in the deep web are available to users by paying for access or by getting a registration. Examples of vertical or specialty search engines would be a medical search such as Mednar or PubMed, a map or directions locator like MapQuest, a people or business finder such as Anywho or Intellius or Spokeo, a computational knowledge engine such as Wolfram Alpha, a source for USA government information such as USA.gov, or a job searching site like Monster. Go ahead and take a look at the USA government web portal, USA.gov. Let's first start with wolframalpha.com. This type of website is called a computational knowledge engine. The definition given by the website itself is that it introduces a new way to get knowledge and answers not by searching the web, but by doing dynamic computations based on a vast collection of built-in data, algorithms, and methods. The advantage of using this particular searching tool is that you do not get a list of websites that may contain the information that you're searching for, but instead you get the answer to your question. For instance, if you had a mathematical formula that needed to be calculated, you can type the formula in the box and Wolfram Alpha calculates the results for you. Social websites such as LinkedIn.com allow you to create, find, and associate with other professionals. Social websites as Reddit.com allow you to know what others are reading and liking. Social microblogs like Twitter.com allows you to follow what others are doing or thinking about, or have others follow you. The messages that are posted contain no more than 140 characters. If what you're looking for online is not readily available through a search engine, then you can ask other internet users for help. Ask.com allows you to ask questions and then wait for others to give you possible answers to your questions. Another very useful website is MapQuest. Whenever you need directions as to how to go from point A to point B, MapQuest can be useful. Try putting your home address as the source address and tourist address as destination address, and have MapQuest give you directions. When a user is trying to do multimedia related searches, such as videos, audio clips, audio recordings, songs, etc., there are a number of very useful sites. Sites like Trooker, TROOKER.com, Soungle, SOUNGLE.com, and archive.org can be extremely useful. As the internet becomes easier and easier to use, a lot of personal information has become available over the internet. Being able to find someone's address or business phone number is easy with a tool like online white or yellow pages or a site like Anywho.com. On your web browser, type Anywho.com, and then in the section for Find a Person, type your last name and your first name, and then in the section for state, select New York, and then click Find. The results page will include a list of people that have the searched first name and last name, and also their respective home addresses and phone numbers. Now, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, you will see a link for a site called Intellius.com, which allows you to look for public records on the individual that you're looking for. Click the link, and as you wait, you would see a little message that says, "Searching public records in the state of New York." There are many websites in the internet that collect public personal information and present it to you in a single site. Many of us do not realize that a lot of the information about us is readily available to anyone. When you get married, that information becomes part of the public record. Also, when you get divorced, that becomes part of the public record. When you get in trouble with the law, that also becomes part of the public record. When you declare bankruptcy, when you buy property, okay, all these things become part of the public record. Many of these public records also link you to other people. Often also we make information available to the world. For instance, when we create a profile in Facebook and you do not change the privacy settings. The default in that case is that your information is now available to everyone in the internet. A website like Intellius makes some of this information available for free and all public records for a fee. If you search for your first and last name, records will be displayed for people with your first and last name in the city that you chose. Now, when I search for my own name, I see people with my name, their ages, cities where they have lived, and also a list of relatives associated to the individual that is listed. Nothing displayed in here is illegal. It's all in the public record. A similar website to Intellius is one called Spokeo.com. Go to Spokeo.com and type your name in the search box. Click search and see the information that is available about you. This particular website links many of the things that we saw in the previous site, and it adds info coming from sources such as Facebook and more. The Internet Research Book includes a diagram which gives you a visual comparison as to how many websites are accessible through each of these available searching tools when compared to the whole of the World Wide Web. Note that the bigger circle in this diagram represents all the websites available through the World Wide Web in general. Also notice that most of this area in this larger circle is the invisible web and is not available through regular searching tools. In this diagram, the yellow circle represents the area that is normally available or visible in the web. The blue represents the area that is accessible through index searching tools. The green represents the area available to subject guide searching tools. And the oval in red is the meta search searching tools, which actually cover a larger area of the overall circle as compared to the index search engine or the subject guide search engine. It is the specialty searching tools in color purple that give you the access to the most area of the World Wide Web. Often students believe that everything that is in the internet is available to regular users using a tool such as Google. The area of the internet that is actually visible to regular users is tiny compared to the whole of the web pages out there. That area of the World Wide Web that is not accessible to regular search engines is called the deep web. These are websites that often are available only to users that have permissions to them either through a free registration process or a usage fee. There is a portion of the deep web that is not even available through regular browsers. Instead, you need to have a special browser such as Tor, T-O-R. This area of the deep web is called the dark web. It uses the World Wide Web as a way to make available illegal products and services such as drugs, stolen credit cards, personal identity information, botnet rentals, prostitution, etc. It includes places similar to eBay where illegal items may be sold and purchased. Part of our discussion about doing searches in the internet should include how searching sites may be able to modify the results available to you through a filtering process based on the type of searches that you may have done in the past, the geographical location, etc. Take a view at the video offered in YouTube, www.youtube.com/watch?V=B80FWFX525S to have a better understanding as to how filtering by the searching sites may affect your searches.
Mark Zuckerberg, a journalist was asking him a question about the news feed. And the journalist was asking him, why is this so important? And Zuckerberg said, a squirrel dying in your front yard may be more relevant to your interests right now than people dying in Africa. And I want to talk about what a web based on that idea of relevance might look like. So when I was growing up in a really rural area in Maine, the internet meant something very different to me. It meant a connection to the world. It meant something that would connect us all together. And I was sure that it was going to be great for democracy and for our society. But there's this kind of shift in how information is flowing online. And it's invisible. And if we don't pay attention to it, it could be a real problem. So I first noticed this in a place I spend a lot of time, my Facebook page. I'm progressive politically, big surprise, but I've always gone out of my way to meet conservatives. I like hearing what they're thinking about. I like seeing what they link to. I like learning a thing or two. And so I was kind of surprised when I noticed one day that the conservatives had disappeared from my Facebook feed. And what it turned out was going on was that Facebook was looking at which links I clicked on. And it was noticing that actually I was clicking more on my liberal friends' links than on my conservative friends' links. And without consulting me about it, it had edited them out. They disappeared. So Facebook isn't the only place that's doing this kind of invisible algorithmic editing of the web. Google's doing it too. If I search for something and you search for something, even right now at the very same time, we may get very different search results. Even if you're logged out, one engineer told me, there are 57 signals that Google looks at. Everything from what kind of computer you're on, to what kind of browser you're using, to where you're located, that it uses to personally tailor your query results. Think about it for a second. There is no standard Google anymore. And the funny thing about this is that it's hard to see. You can't see how different your search results are from anyone else's. But a couple of weeks ago, I asked a bunch of friends to Google Egypt and to send me screenshots of what they got. So here's my friend Scott's screenshot. And here's my friend Daniel's screenshot. When you put them side by side, you don't even have to read the links to see how different these two pages are. But when you do read the links, it's really quite remarkable. Daniel didn't get anything about the protests in Egypt at all in his first page of Google results. Scott's results were full of them. And this was the big story of the day at that time. That's how different these results are becoming. So it's not just Google and Facebook either. This is something that's sweeping the web. There are a whole host of companies that are doing this kind of personalization. Yahoo News, the biggest news site on the internet, is now personalized. Different people get different things. Huffington Post, the Washington Post, New York Times, all flirting with personalization in various ways. And where this moves us very quickly toward a world in which the internet is showing us what it thinks we want to see, but not necessarily what we need to see. As Eric Schmidt said, it'll be very hard for people to watch or consume something that has not, in some sense, been tailored for them. So I do think this is a problem. And I think if you take all of these filters together, if you take all of these algorithms, you get what I call a filter bubble. And your filter bubble is kind of your own personal, unique universe of information that you live in online. And what's in your filter bubble depends on who you are, and it depends on what you do. But the thing is that you don't decide what gets in. And more importantly, you don't actually see what gets edited out. So one of the problems with the filter bubble was discovered by some researchers at Netflix. And they were looking at the Netflix queues, and they noticed something kind of funny that a lot of us probably have noticed, which is there's some movies that just sort of zip right up and out to our houses. They enter the queue, they just zip right out. So Iron Man zips right out, right? And Waiting for Superman can wait for a really long time. What they discovered was that in our Netflix queues, there's kind of this epic struggle going on between our future aspirational selves and our more impulsive present selves. we all want to be someone who has watched Rashomon. But right now, we want to watch Ace Ventura for the 4th time. So the best editing gives us a bit of both. It gives us a little bit of Justin Bieber and a little bit of Afghanistan. It gives us some information vegetables. It gives us some information dessert. And the challenge with these kind of algorithmic filters, these personalized filters, is that because they're mainly looking at what you click on first, it can throw off that balance. And instead of a balanced information diet, you can end up surrounded by information junk food. So what this suggests is actually that we may have the story about the internet wrong. In a broadcast society, this is how the founding mythology goes, right? In a broadcast society, there were these gatekeepers, the editors, and they controlled the flows of information. And along came the internet, and it swept them out of the way, and it allowed all of us to connect together, and it was awesome. But that's not actually what's happening right now. What we're seeing is more of a passing of the torch from human gatekeepers to algorithmic ones. And the thing is that the algorithms don't yet have the kind of embedded ethics that the editors did. So if algorithms are going to curate the world for us, if they're going to decide what we get to see and what we don't get to see, then we need to make sure that they're not just keyed to relevance. We need to make sure that they also show us things that are uncomfortable or challenging or important. This is what TED does, right? Other points of view. And the thing is, we've actually kind of been here before as a society. In 1915, it's not like newspapers were sweating a lot about their civic responsibilities. Then people kind of noticed that they were doing something really important. That in fact, you couldn't have a functioning democracy if citizens didn't get a good flow of information. That the newspapers were critical because they were acting as the filter, and that journalistic ethics developed. It wasn't perfect, but it got us through the last century. And so now, we're kind of back in 1915 on the web. And we need the new gatekeepers to encode that kind of responsibility into the code that they're writing. I know there are a lot of people here from Facebook and from Google, Larry and Sergey, people who have helped build the web as it is, and I'm grateful for that. But we really need you to make sure that these algorithms have encoded in them a sense of the public life, a sense of civic responsibility. We need you to make sure that they're transparent enough that we can see what the rules are that determine what gets through our filters. And we need you to give us some control so that we can decide what gets through and what doesn't. Because I think we really need the internet to be that thing that we all dreamed of it being. We need it to connect us all together. We need it to introduce us to new ideas and new people and different perspectives. And it's not going to do that if it leaves us all isolated in a web of one. Thank you. Thank you.
The next topic that I would like to cover in this lecture is the one that has to do with what causes specific results to be displayed at the top of the list when you do a search. This is called ranking. The more popular a website is, the more of a chance that the website will appear at the top of the list in a search. The way a website becomes popular is by having many other websites point to it through hyperlinks. When the spider collects information about a website and it finds hyperlinks pointing to another page or website, Google will count the number of times that the other websites point to that particular website and uses that as a way to rank the website with a higher ranking. Another factor that determines the ranking is the age or the currency of the site. The more up-to-date the site is, the more likely that it will rank higher. The more times a website is searched for in searching sites will also increase the ranking for that particular website. Searching sites also keep track of sites that have become a fad or a trend, and it gives those a higher ranking. A very popular way of increasing the ranking of a site is to have certain keywords appear frequently within the web page. The higher the keyword density in a page, the higher its ranking. Searching sites like Google are aware of this, and if it finds that a website is using this method in a deceptive way, it may keep the website from being listed. Most of us are used to searching the internet using tools like Google or Bing or AOL, and we forget that a lot of the results that may appear in a search may be inappropriate for children. A way to avoid having children be exposed to adult or inappropriate material is to have the children use a search engine built for children. There are a number of them, such as Bullify, Quintura for Kids, KidsRex, Ask Kids, Kids Click, Yahoo Kids, SquirrelNet, AGA Kids, and DipDapDoo and Dilly2.